Whether you're looking to hit the road or just have more free time for yourself living in the town, city, neighborhood, or wherever you're at, freelancing is a really great option. Now, it might be just a little bit harder than just going and getting a job and, just kind of doing the minimum, just doing the work, getting it over with, and going home and not having to think about it anymore. If that's truly what you want, stop watching this video. Go do that. And sometimes, to be honest with you, I'm envious of that. Freelancing does give you freedom, but it does come with an added stress, but not like a chronic stress, more just of there's more ownership and responsibility that you now have to take on. And it's not all negative, don't get me wrong. Again, this is like a good stress. This is gonna help you grow. This is gonna raise your, if you care about it, this will raise your status a little bit. And to be honest, you kind of start beating the system a little bit, because now you can write things off and do all sorts of things. So that way you're not paying a crap ton of money in taxes, and it's more of an investment into you, which is pretty awesome. So my first step into freelancing or self-employment was a little over 10 years ago now. And some of you might be shocked, but I was a mechanic, which, how the hell do you freelance mechanicking? Well, I created a mobile mechanic company in the suburbs of Chicago back in 2014. And I was pretty much the only person doing that at the time. And because of that, the market was wide open for me, and it just absolutely crushed. I did that for 5 years before I decided I wanted to, just be out here full time and become a nomad and follow my real passion of being in the outdoors and traveling and seeing new things all the time. So now I had to figure out, well, how do I transition mobile mechanicking into full-time traveling? Well, you don't. So when I started my mechanic career back in, I believe it was 2008, at the same time I played in rock bands. I played guitar, and we went to a recording studio in Detroit once, and I remember handing this guy thousands of dollars. He's just sitting there bullshitting with us, having fun. We're making music, it's a great old time. And it hit me, it's like, oh man, I'm on the wrong side of the board. Bought a PreSonus interface, some cables, mics, all the things, and started recording music. And I learned a new skill. For 10 years, I was learning how to become an audio engineer, and went to school for it as well. Same thing with mechanicking, went to school for that as well. But you don't have to nowadays. You don't have to go to school for audio engineering. You don't have to go to school for this camera stuff. I never went to school for camera stuff. So now that I have audio engineering as my backup skill, if you will, that's what I leveraged to make some money before I hit the road. And I started that about maybe 6 months, 5 months before I hit the road. That way you have some runway then. You don't want to start at the day you hit the road. In fact, you want to start it a whole year beforehand. And even then, just start now. And I don't know what you're doing. I don't know if you want to hit the road. I don't know if you just want to be done working at some bank or wherever you're working 9 to 5 that you just can't stand anymore. This is something that you can learn an hour a day. And I can almost probably guarantee that you have an hour in the day that you're being distracted by something else, that you can just cut that out and just learn audio engineering. So I started a podcast editing business, sole proprietor. I don't do LLCs or anything right now. Like I said, I like to keep my stuff small and simple. I don't want to complicate it too much. It gets a little crazy, and to be honest with you, I'm a little scared, and I don't want to grow it too big yet. It's kind of a slow burn right now. So I have audio engineering in my back pocket, and I started to edit podcasts. And the first thing I did was create an Instagram, and I named it I Am a Podcast Editor. Shockingly, that was completely open to use. Create a website like that, email, all that stuff. And the SEO just from that alone got me my first client day one on Instagram, which was absolutely shocking. I never thought that would happen, and it did. I never thought that would happen to me. It seems like it happens to everybody else. But I think when you really put some effort into it and really think about the words you want to use and all these things. And believe, I'm a low effort guy. I don't want to put any effort in nothing. That's why I'm not doing these fancy edits and stuff like that. I get paid to do that. I don't want to do that here. It's not even needed, I don't think. But so just come up with a name that is easily searchable and that is super concise and tells the potential client, like, what do you do? And again, I am a podcast editor, is clear as day. So after that client, I now had a little bit of leverage for obtaining more clients. And for that, I went on to Upwork.com. And at that time, right around 2018, 2019, podcasting started blowing up. So to be honest, it really wasn't too hard to gain 5-6 clients right off the bat, which I used Upwork for all of that. And if you haven't used Upwork before, it's pretty awesome. It's specifically for freelancers and companies that are looking for freelancers. And essentially you just create your profile like anything else. You put any kind of work that you have done already in there, all these things. And essentially you just search like podcast, podcast editor. And then just things will pop up for everyone looking for podcast editors. They have in their description what kind of podcast they have, what they need from you. And you just pick and choose like what feels good for you. And then you send them a proposal. So you have to write this thing about how awesome you are and what you're going to do for them and all this stuff. And then you submit that, and usually you'll see, numbers of other people doing the same thing. And once in a while, you win. But nowadays, you have ChatGPT. Back then, didn't have that, and now you do. So it's like you can just create a proposal that is just bang on and probably win all the time. But at the same time, we're using ChatGPT, write it in how you speak as well, because ChatGPT is so formal and so perfect almost that, if you're not talking at that level with those words and that structure of sentence, people are going to notice that and then be like, hey, like, I don't think you wrote this. And, I've been caught before, which is why I know. So you have to add in your flair of how you speak. Yeah. And one of the most traditional ways of acquiring a client is just in-person networking. Your friends. Go on your Facebook, go on your Instagram. Like, hey, I just started this business. I do this, that, and the other. Like, does anyone need help? Does anyone need my services? Like, you can easily start it up like that. And that's how I started my mobile mechanic business. I just had family and friends. And then, luckily I did a good enough job that they told their friends, and then their friends told their friends. And next thing you know, you got full-blown snowball effect. Now, there's a dark side to freelancing. And that is you will not, well, depending on who you are, at least for me, I did not feel secure. You're showing up every week, you're hoping that this person even records an episode, and like you're just relying on so much more to keep your life going. And so it's kind of this constant game of always looking for new clients and always just trying to keep this bucket full while there's a little hole at the bottom just slowly spurting out water. You just got to keep filling it. So you have to stay on it. And this is when you work a 9 to 5, like people have their job in that job is to do that. That's why you have a team of salespeople. Like you always have to constantly keep bringing people in as much as you can and as much as you can handle. Now, about a year into full-time traveling, I wasn't getting rich, but I was making enough money that I was able to eat, I was able to travel, and I was able to at least do some cool things, but I wasn't getting ahead. And that's when I realized like I need to do something else. So this one day, I'm in Alamogordo, New Mexico, which is right next to White Sands. And I woke up just miserable, depressed in a Walmart parking lot in my Honda Element, thinking to myself like, dude, I need to do something. Like that was my rock bottom. Like, I need more clients, better paying clients, or, I don't even know what the or was, to be honest with you. I didn't even know. So either way, I went to this coffee shop that I was going to for a bit, and I went on Upwork, and I told myself, I am going to find a podcast client today. So I went to a coffee shop, got on Upwork, blasted out like 10 or 12 proposals. And at the end of the day, I got one. And their response to me was pretty awesome. And this was, again, me writing the proposal in my own words and my own essence. And they came back with like, wow, you were seemingly the most confident one. And, you know, that's like confidence can come through in words. And I felt, and again, that day I was charged up. I felt confident. I felt like I'm going to find a client today and I'm going to write it as if I am going to get one. And it worked. And you get one. You have to put yourself in a mindset, or you need to hit rock bottom. Pick one, you know? The first one's a lot easier than the last one. I went to their website, checked them out, see what they're doing, what am I editing, what are they working on? And turns out they needed like from ground up. They needed to launch this thing, put it on Spotify, Apple, like everywhere you want to go. So, and that's the best case scenario if you're going to do podcast editing, is starting someone from complete scratch, because you can charge a lot more money for, you know, basically getting all that going. I'm on their website and I noticed that the owner does backcountry hunting. And for the longest time, even when I was a little kid, and if you remember Bill Dance, the fishing show, I always wondered what it would be like to be the cameraman hanging out with this dude, you know, just watching him fish. Like, I love fishing, I love doing it myself, but at the same time, I'm totally cool at taking the back seat and filming an absolute master at doing their work. It's addicting to me. So I hit him back up. I'm like, hey, like, I see like you guys do all this other stuff. Like, do you need any help with that? And, you know, you should always ask people, even if it seems unobtainable, just asking people, just asking a business, asking a YouTube channel, asking an Instagrammer, whoever, an influencer, do you need help with something? I can help you with anything. Lie to them, it doesn't matter. Figure it out later. This is kind of what I've done. I just say I'm gonna go do this and I figure it out and I do it for them, and it's totally fine. They came back and they told me, how would you like to come live with us for 3 months? We're gonna pay you X amount of dollars, which was a lot of money, like more money than I've ever made. And essentially I would film their online coursework. And this was, why do you gotta recreate in the sky? Get out of here. Filming masterclass style content. And this was back when like coursework wasn't like super popular on the internet yet, but it was becoming. And they used me as a cameraman, which I've never done that professionally before or for money, to come and film all this stuff. And to be honest, it was as easy as just setting it up like this and putting a mic on them and like, all right, talk. Obviously there's structure and there's all this editing, and you know, it took a lot of time, but you learn really, really fast. And that's how I learned how to use this camera. So after those 3 months were done, I met up with a friend in Bend, Oregon, and we hung out for a couple days. They were asking me like, oh, what have you been doing, blah, blah. I told them what I was doing. I was filming and all these things, and I was just getting into it. And they're like, hey, I know someone who's always looking for a videographer. And I was like, nah, man, I'm not that good at this stuff yet. I just got started, da-da-da-da-da. And they were like, no. Thank God they said that. Again, I keep shooting myself in the foot. Like, just don't do that. Just force yourself to just say yeah. Even if you suck, just say yeah and just do it anyways. It pays off. It always pays off. Not always, but like pretty freaking close. Either way, they hit up this man and ended up being a large YouTube channel called Tiny Home Tours. You can go search for it if you want. You see a crap ton of my work. And he was basically like, film their rig, send it in, and we'll see what happens. So I filmed their rig, and I went and looked back at it recently. This was 4 years ago. And boy, did it suck. And it was not even in the structure of how they filmed at the time either. Like on paper and by the looks of it, I completely screwed up. He hits me back, he's like, dude, I really like your style. And that video hit 1 million views somehow, some way. Again, universe. And you know, 4 years later, I'm the manager at this YouTube channel. It's wild. So again, you just never know. You never know. You need to express yourself. You need to talk. You need to put yourself out there. You just never know who's got something for you. So now, those people I worked with for those 3 months, he hits me back up months later to go do another gig. And in that other gig, I meet another person who was saying like this other thing they're gonna go do. It was like basically like a journalist, chief editor at a big magazine company, and he was talking about this other project he was doing months later, and it sounded really way up my alley. And instead of going like, hey man, like hire me, blah, blah, I was just like, hey, can I just come with? Like, you don't have to like pay me or anything. I just want to go with you and experience this thing if you have space and room for me. And he was like, yeah, mate, let's go. So I go do that gig, and I had my camera with me because I was vlogging at the time. And I basically was like, oh, I'm going to vlog this whole thing. So essentially 3-4 days, I vlogged all this stuff. I ended up having a crap ton of footage that they ended up buying off me, which is like, holy crap, like who would have thought? And then ended up hiring me for three more years to be their freelance guy. And then eventually got offered the position of the video director of that place, which only lasted 6 months, mostly because it just didn't really resonate with me anymore. There's an industry I wasn't like super keen on, except for just this one part of the industry that I really loved. But the rest of my job was like the other part of the industry that I just couldn't stand. And it was really just killing my soul. I was like, I can't do this. And I was still working at tiny home tours at the time. So I just went back there and, took less money, which is fine. And, eventually found other clients along the way just from knowing these people. It just naturally starts happening. They go, oh, I know Brian. Hit up Brian. And it just starts to snowball from there. And sometimes you'll go 6 months without hearing anything from anyone, or a year sometimes. And then next thing you know, they're like, oh, hey, are you free still? It's like, yep, let's go work. It's just so different for everybody else, to be honest with you. It really is. Like, I've helped 1, 2, 3 friends get into freelancing, and their journeys looked freaking way different than mine. But there was a few things in common though. And one of them was putting yourself out there, saying yes, doing things for free sometimes, especially if you're brand new. You have to do stuff for free. I don't care what anyone tells you, they're wrong. You have to do some things for free. Some things, not all things, some things. You have to kind of want it. You have to kind of give yourself no other choice. I work really well when I back myself into a corner and it's like, all right, we gotta do something about this. That was me waking up in the Walmart parking lot like, oh shit, I have nowhere else to go but up now, so here we go. Now, it's not all sunshine and rainbows in my story. There's been a lot of times, and in fact, kind of right now, to be honest with you, where there's just not a lot of work coming in. These last 2 months have been by far some of the worst months I've had in the last 3 years of freelancing. And I don't know, maybe it's the economy, maybe it's just people, I'm not really sure. But these last 2 months have been a true struggle. Which is why I'm also getting back to doing my YouTube channel, because I am monetized. So thanks for watching. When these times, and when you're freelancing, like there'll be months where you make a crap load of money, but the next month you might make a fraction of that. So there comes a new mindset of cool, I made 10K this month, but next month you can make 2K. Now what do? Like you have to learn how to save that money. You need to learn how to withdraw your own taxes. Like, there's a lot that goes into this stuff. One of the best tools that has helped me with taxes and all the things is a app. Well, it's not even an app, it's QuickBooks, but it's QuickBooks Self-Employed. And it links to your bank, so anytime you swipe that card, you can set parameters if it's an expense, is it personal, or is income coming in? And you can pretty much have it all set. After about a year, it's pretty much automatic. You don't have to think about it. I might look at it once a quarter now. And then when it comes time to do taxes, it transfers over to TurboTax. Do all the things in there. I've done my taxes sit on the toilet once. It's really quite fast. And you do your thing. And you have to put money away for those taxes, because your job doesn't do that anymore. Like those people that you're working with, you're a contractor now. You're a 1099. You're not a W-2 anymore. You're a W-9. And so you have to withhold your own taxes now, which has been an absolute learning curve for me. And in fact, this year was the first time I actually withheld my own taxes in the last 10 years. Because I always just had money in the bank, because you learn not to spend it all, which I did a few times. You know that dark days are coming and you're gonna need that money. And when taxes come, you're gonna have to spend that money, and it's gonna suck because now you're not gonna have a lot of extra money. Every time I invoice someone, I automatically take out 30%. Sounds like a lot, and it can be, especially if you have a bad month. It feels horrible to do, but you have to do it. You just have to do it. You're gonna have to live below your means a little bit if that's the case. But again, it's not for everybody. Like, some people might just start killing it right off the bat. Other people, like myself, sometimes you go through these peaks and valleys, and you have to find where the medium is, and you have to figure out how much money you need to survive in the month, and just try real hard to have that money. And if you have any extra, invest it into index funds, into high rate savings accounts, whatever you can come up with. But usually the tides do shift and work does come back. And in fact, I'm actually talking to a new client right now. And if this pans out, I'll be achieving my full rate and be going on pretty epic trips. So that's my light at the end of the tunnel. Is he actually going to hire me? I'm not sure. They're in planning phases. So, these things happen. Everything just takes so much more time when you're freelancing. But again, like, you're free, man, like, or girl, you're free. There's days where like, I don't have a lot happening. I have plenty of money in the bank. There's no need for me to sit and work all day. So I'll take 3 days and I'll just go do whatever I feel like doing. It's pretty amazing. Like, even right now, like, I work pretty much every day. I'll edit video for like 4 hours a day only. And then the rest of the day, I ride my bike, I hang out with some friends, I go on a hike, I go eat good food. Like, you get to enjoy your time more this way. And, I think that's why we get into this. That's why I got into it. And it's awesome. It's awesome when it's awesome, but it sucks when it sucks. But you have to just know that, like, when it sucks, like, it will get better. It usually does. Like, it's just the vibe of reality, in my opinion. So I've sprinkled some advice along this video. I'm gonna just kind of reiterate the advice. If you have no idea where to start, if you have no idea like how to do this freelance thing, especially if you're working at a 9 to 5, depending on your job, it's not gonna work for everybody, unfortunately. But try to see, like, can I take what I do at this job and can I create my own thing to help the same customers? Probably not the same ones at your work, but the same kind of people who need whatever problems they have solved by you. If you're having a hard time figuring out what that is, drop it in the comments below. I'll take a look at it, and maybe someone else in the comments can help you out. We can start a beautiful little conversation in there, and even a little community, and just talk about what you can do. This goes back to what I've been saying. Just put yourself out there. Literally do it. Like, what are you waiting for? Especially if you really want to break away from what you're doing and have more freedom for yourself. You need to take steps. You need to take action, man. Drop it in the comments. Let's get this convo started. If you're already someone who has some skills, audio engineering, videography, art, graphic design, all that shit, you already have a pretty big leg up, and probably the only thing holding you back is you yourself. So again, drop it in the comments. What is holding you back? What are you scared of? What is in the way? And that's not for everyone. Some people feel that way. Other people are like, I got this. But if you feel like you can't get past the starting line, again, hit us up in the comments. Hopefully a number of people will come in and help you. Let's say you already have the skill set and you kind of know the direction you want to go, but you just don't know how to get clients. Upwork.com, Fiverr, Freelancer, LinkedIn, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube. There's so many ways to find clients. And to be honest with you, actually, the best way is in person. Is just asking people, hey man, I do this thing. Do you need help? Do you need my services? You'll probably get a lot of no's, but get used to that. And it's going to happen and it's going to suck a little bit, but after a while you develop some thick skin and you're just like, next guy or a woman. And then some advice if you don't feel like you have the confidence or self-worth or esteem or whatever's holding you back, like, I think that could be your calling to start getting into some self-development. It's kind of what this is. So being an entrepreneur, being a freelancer, being a self-employed person is a lot of getting out of your own way and having to dig through what is holding you back. And I've had to do a lot of self-development, a lot, to get to where I'm at right now, to even talk about this, which is insane. But it needs to get done, especially if you want to do this. I think about myself going back to a 9-to-5, living in the suburbs and having the house and the cul-de-sac I don't want that. I don't want that. I want something completely opposite of that. So therefore I must do some kind of work that is not normal. And that's totally fine because, you know, the fabric of the world is changing right now because of AI and the internet and things that we can do. And I forgot who said it, but I heard someone say it and they're like, I hope one day we'll have hundreds of thousands of people running their own businesses instead of having just these big businesses kind of ruling everything. So you have to do some self-development. I've been doing therapy for 3 years and I think 2 years every week for those 2 years. Yeah, it costs some money, but it's like, you know, it makes you money at the same time because you're bettering yourself. You're learning how to speak better and how to be better and how to make your vibe better, and your clients will really appreciate that. I'm not sure what else I'm missing. I could probably talk about this forever, and there will be a lot more videos that come out about all this. This was just scratching the surface on my story and how this happened. I used ChatGPT actually to create a whole episode list for me for 52 weeks. So this is just numero dos. So I got 50 left to do. And it's gonna be a lot about this, freelancing. It's gonna be a lot about hitting the road full-time, becoming a nomad, if you're interested in something like that. Relationships, I've been through the freaking gamut with that and had some pretty wild awakenings on how to be in one properly and healthily. So that kind of, like I said, that kind of gives you just a little glimmer of my freelance story, and it's still evolving every single day, every single week. It's never gonna end. You can do it. You can figure out something to do. You can create value for yourself. Watch Alex Hormozy. He's awesome at all this stuff. Way better than me at it. Obviously, he makes $100 million a year or something like that. Whew. I don't even make 100,000 a year yet. Like, Jesus. So, but either way, the mindset's the same. Same mindset. Drop your shit in the comments. We'll figure things out. We'll talk about it. And yeah, see you on the next one.